Hi, Raylene. How are you doing?
Hello, Missy Lisa. I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Oh, better and better. I'm a tough old bird considering what I've been through, and I'm blind because I think a moose now has my glasses in the tundra. But I do have these readers, which are kind of styling, that I got in Norway. Now, readers, if I get a readers at Walgreens, they're like $10. These are $50. I couldn't believe it. Oh, whatever. But I don't have
Oh
anything
my goodness.
right now, so but they're really pretty high quality, and that's all they had. So um,
They work. They do the
yeah,
job. Eric says
they
they're very fashionable.
good. Anyway, I love you,
Hi,
Erik,
Mama.
and thank you for helping to save my life in the Norwegian tundra and riding that moose to my rescue.
He's saying, Mom, I love you so very much, and you're welcome. He says, you do know I did help you a ton in this adventure that you went on.
Woo!
He's, he
It's the
says, I
best.
wouldn't say woohoo.
Yeah, it's the worst vacation ever, but also the best vacation ever since I did survive. So that's
That's what he's talking about. He says you were able to survive and come out of this big experience. He says it's not your time to go yet. You are given opportunities of trials, whether it's negative things or positive experiences, and you've been able to overcome these ginormous experiences. He says, with the help of your son on the other side, you can
yeah.
accomplish anything.
Enough already, though. Seriously, but you know,
Right? I'd say you've had it.
Jesus. I mean, we're going to talk about loneliness. And yeah, I felt super lonely there, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But what was the purpose of that experience? Just real quickly, because I want to get right on topic as soon as we can.
He says the purpose of the experience had to do with loneliness, Mom. He says it had to be you by yourself, you communicating with yourself and really reaching into figuring out who am I, what do I like, what do I not like, why am I happy or why am I lonely. You had a lot of time to think and you had a lot of time to wonder. He says not only were you wandering, but were you in fear as well. And that fear brought you more loneliness, having to sit in that feeling and sit in the sorrow of I'm alone, I have nobody, somebody please help me. He says you've experienced what most people feel on a daily basis. Although they're not trapped in 0-degree temperatures, that loneliness feeling is no different from someone being trapped in zero temperature or someone being trapped in a room with heat. You still feel that lack of companion and you still have that need for somebody to come in and communicate with you or help you.
So basically, it's a humbling experience. It's okay to get help, but also to understand and have compassion for people who do feel alone, and also the importance of realizing that we are all connected to you, to the moose, to me, to Mother Earth, to the tundra, to the wet moss. Oh, God.
Eric, you're so stupid. He's talking about the moose, and he says yes, because we are all connected and we are all one. He says that moose is digging your glasses, and he's not
Yeah.
returning them.
I'm going to charge him because they're progressives. So, but you know what? Turnabout's fair play because I was toying with the idea of if I had a knife, I would rip open his belly and crawl in to get warm. But so I had that coming.
Revenge.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to be warm, man. So, did it have anything to do with me dealing with your death and trying to get past that last hurdle?
He says, yes, Mom, it did bring healing to you on many levels. And the last hurdle of, for a while there, you felt like I was alone, and realizing that I'm not anymore, that brings you healing. And for you, you felt like you were alone. Being able to communicate with me, although I wasn't in the physical, it gave you some hope of I'm still here with you. And he says that you were talking to me and you were hearing me very clearly, Mom.
Yeah.
And he says, I was hearing you very clearly. He says, knowing that I'm still there, although you don't have me in the presence, you were never alone during that time. He says it's all about connecting to your spirit guides, your loved ones, and feeling that compassion for those that don't have any physical people on earth.
Yeah, that's true. And I will segue into this, but it was such an amazingly stark loneliness because, up above the tree line in the tundra, it's so quiet. I mean, you don't hear cars or it's just the intense feeling of being alone. And then hours after hours after hours after hours, no rescue helicopter sounds, no sounds of drones, no sounds of beeping or whistles or dogs or anything. It made loneliness can segue into hopelessness. Like there is nobody out there for me. So
And T, are
nobody
you,
cares about me. I know, intellectually that's not true, but you get to that emotional point where you really believe that you are alone and nobody cares.
he's explaining that when you're in that feeling, that loneliness comes into hopefulness and despair. He says it becomes very lonely and very depressing very quickly. He says hour after hour, you got increasingly more stressed, increasingly more cold, and more hopeless. You were ready to give up towards this end
Oh yeah,
stage.
I was begging, fucking rip my soul out of this horrible, suffering body. But anyway,
They're
let's
12 hours.
17 to 18, something like that.
Goodness, that is a very long time to survive that, Elisa.
Yeah, my core temperature was 30 degrees Celsius, and the survivalist doctor said that there's no way I had more than 1 to 2 hours left. But anyway, let's go on to segue into how can we help those in the world that are lonely. What can you say to them, Erik, to help them? I mean, certainly they don't have to fly to Norway and get
Get
lost
trapped.
in the tundra, but what can these people who I adore and now feel even greater compassion for, although I was dead, how can we help them? What can we say to them?
He says, make friends with yourself, talk to yourself, get to know who you are as an individual. A lot of times that loneliness is being put in your path for you to find something within yourself as an individual. He says, you seek companion from other people, but the truth is you can have companion within yourself. He says, now I'm going to back it up a little bit, Mom. He's got that beep beep sound reversed.
Oh yeah. Beep,
And
beep.
he says, now being lonely doesn't mean that you're okay or that you like to be lonely. He says, you're fucking human. So everybody's going to want that companion. Everyone's going to want that relationship of some sort to communicate with another being. And he says that, but for you to really be okay with having companion with another person, you need to find loneliness with yourself. And that loneliness, you will find friends with yourself. Become friends and become one with who you are. He says, Mom, as you were out there, you learned a lot about yourself. You learned that maybe you should have dressed a little bit warmer. You're
Yeah,
not
maybe I
smart.
should have taken a phone, but I thought it was a 10-minute walk. I mean, I had the cabin right in my sight, but then the fog rolled in, and
Fog.
somebody told me that people in fog tend to go right, and that would have been the wrong direction. But all right, so I do think that you should never really feel lonely if you are your own companion. Really, if you truly love yourself and enjoy your own company, then that loneliness, well, at least it should not be so deep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he says, you're really going down to the root of the problem. Where is the root coming from? Where is my loneliness coming from? He says, in every case, it's different. He says, Mom, some people deal with feeling lonely because of neglecting during childhood and because
Yeah.
there was poor nourishment that was not given to them. And he says, so there's different underlinings of why people feel lonely,
So they
but it's
feel,
something.
so they have some self-loathing because they're like, nobody took care of me, so I'm not worth loving. I am unlovable. Is it that sometimes, or is that all the
Yes.
time?
He says 90% of the time it comes back to I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, they don't like me, they don't need me. They feel burdened with people around them. And what they have to realize is that if you're okay with being by yourself, not burdening yourself, being your friend, laughing at your jokes, laughing at the person that you are, laughing at the clothing that you put on, whether somebody likes it or whether somebody dislikes it. He says, you be okay with who you are as an individual, and that loneliness, it goes away. No, it's not something that you can fix overnight, because this is something where you go in and you really have to sit with your own thoughts. He says people hate doing that. People won't sit by themselves and think
Why?
about
What's
chances.
that?
He,
What's that sound?
he goes, I don't know.
Oh,
He, he's talking about
sounds like a moose
don't like
sound.
themselves. It does, right?
Yeah.
People talking about their not liking themselves. Being lonely is because you're not liking the person that you are. He says, so maybe that means that you need to go and do some soul searching and change some things about you, so that way you will like what you are, who you are as an individual. He says liking doesn't only start from the core of who you are as a person. Liking starts with not only personality, but you as, what do you do for work? Do you like what you do for work? He says, if your hobby isn't even something that you like, that hobby could be impacting how you reflect on yourself, how you
Yeah.
see yourself. He says, so you need to start with things around you, your surroundings, whether this is employment, whether this is hobby, whether this is just sitting on a couch for shits and giggles. If that's something you don't like, that is something that is reflecting on you. He says, so reflect back what you want others to reflect, of you.
Okay. Yeah. One way, one thing I came to understand even before this event was I need to accept myself for my flaws and all. I mean, we all have flaws, and I got tons of them.
We're
But
human.
to me, they become sort of things of endearment. Like I'm so clumsy. I have a little dent in one of my in the wall in the utility room when I was climbing on the washer and felt our
She
dryer
does.
fell
I've
off.
seen
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I blow things up and make igloo shaped, things in the ceiling, and I do some stupid things. I pull instead of push. I
He says, Mom, but that's why I love
split,
you.
but I'm okay with that. I think it's hilarious.
And that's why he loves you, because you don't hide that personality of you.
I
You
can't.
are, you're going to go for it, whether somebody says, don't do that, Elisa, or that's dumb. You're still going to push for it because it's something that you enjoy. It's your personality, it's your character, and you shouldn't have to hide that for anybody. Because if you're hiding that, then you're not going to like who you are as an individual. So you be that spontaneous you whenever you want to be that spontaneous, silly, pyro.
Pyro, yay! You love that.
He goes, I learned from the best.
Yes, but next time you come over, let's secretly film me. Okay, I'll be in the kitchen cutting up a tomato with a big knife. And when Rooney comes in, and let's see what he says. Get
You're
away
not allowed to
from
have knives.
No,
You are not allowed to have knives.
or up a ladder. Go if I'm on top of a ladder, he'll freak out. But anyway, all right. So
True story.
maybe we should. Would it help for us to get a piece of paper and write down um, all of our strengths and all of our flaws,
Flaws.
and learn to what good could come of those flaws? I mean, there's I don't ever have to. Oh, I hate prep work and cooking, so now I don't have to do it. Yay! But no, that's not.
Says,
But maybe you could find some kernel of good or humor in your flaws, or maybe you could figure out a way to turn it from a flaw to a strength, or just turn it into something neutral.
he says, and the thing is, when you sit down and you write your strengths and your flaws, you may see a flaw as being a flaw, but the person sitting next to you may see that flaw as being a strength of yours. And so you are judging yourself, and what you feel about yourself may be what you're perceiving for others to feel about you. So learn to be okay with that flaw of what you're assuming as a flaw and turn it around as a strength, because my pyro habit is what makes me me, and that's what makes me damn cool. And so think about, maybe you think of it as a flaw, but another person may think of it as a strength, and
Yeah,
learn to be,
tell that to Smokey the Bear. Yeah, one example
just
would
tell
be.
that to the fire department.
Yeah, really. One example would be some person might think it's a flaw to cry real easily and be sensitive. Watching Bambi and the mom dies, I always cry. But really, it's not. It's a sign of vulnerability. It's a sign of an open heart, which is a sign of strength, in my opinion. So you're right. I mean, that's one example of what you're talking about, right, Erik?
Bingo.
Okay.
Yes.
So, do you recommend doing the whole list of strengths and flaws, and maybe even having another person look at it and say, well, wait a minute, that's not a flaw, and helping you figure out the positive aspects of flaws?
Yes, he says, and I want to talk real quick about the other person looking at it, because when we're talking about loneliness, chances are these people don't have other people in their life. He says you can have your neighbor, you can have a stranger, you can have the homeless man look at it and see if he thinks this is a
Wow.
flaw. He
Yeah.
says, so when we talk about loneliness, he says there are other people out there that you can engage with. There are other communities that you can engage with. And it doesn't have to be a family member or a close relative per se. He says you can get out there to meet other people, and those people will like those flaws that you're thinking is a flaw, and that person may just help you to love who you are as an individual.
Oh, what a
He says
great
get the
one.
paper.
It could be a pastor of a church, a head of a community center, people in it. I mean, it could be all sorts. But yeah, it's so good to have different perspectives, because we wallow in one perspective quite often.
Yes. He's
And you
talking
get stuck
about,
in it. Yeah.
absolutely. He's talking about dogs and cats being able to help people come out of loneliness. And
Mm.
so for those of you that are really struggling with sitting in your own thoughts and figuring out where this loneliness stems from, go and get yourself an animal. He says, because that animal will bring an immense amount of healing to you that
That's
you
so
would have never
true.
imagined.
That's so true. I mean, Bella brought us so much healing after Erik died. But you don't have to own one. Also, you can volunteer at the SPCA or some other animal group. You can go to the zoo and go to the petting zoo and make friends with the little funny goats. I don't know. I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do. For example, we have this. Well, I haven't seen him for a while, so I'm a bit concerned.
The roach?
Yeah, Freddie the cockroach. When we sit outside at night, he will cross from one corner of the deck and go to the ground cover at a certain time. And hi, Freddie.
I remember Freddie.
Yeah, but I haven't seen him. But anyway, I think cockroaches are gross, but it will not kill one.
They are humongous over there too, and
They're awful. Tree
they
roaches.
are.
Except Freddie, he's okay.
They are. And he says that he was communicating with you. Freddie's still alive. He has not transitioned over. He's just wandering around different areas. He'll be visiting you again. He's
Oh,
laughing
that's
at Freddie.
awesome.
He's talking about Bella. Her mission was to bring healing to you.
Yeah.
And that's what the mission with her is.
Yeah, on the e-board, I asked, and it said, that was a long time ago, peace to heal was what she spelled out. All right, so do you think people would benefit by isolating themselves somewhere while they're doing this self-reflection work? Like, go camping in the forest, or but take a compass and a phone.
A heating pad, a mattress. He says, Mom, what else do you want to throw in there? He's joking. But he says seriously about the compass and about the phone and a whistle.
Yeah.
He says, yes, isolation outside of where you typically isolate yourself would be very cleansing and very healing for you as you get out of your environment where you're used to. You go somewhere else and you get to go deep from within and do some searching. He's talking about isolation being different for people. For you, your experience of what you just experienced was something that was supposed to happen with you. It was not a freak accident.
Right.
You coming out of it was also something that was supposed to happen.
Okay.
The physical pain that you endured was in representation of the physical pain that you've endured throughout life. Feeling that and being able to feel onto it and say, okay, I don't like this physical pain. I'm really feeling something physical is what allowed you to let go of it. You coming back and being found, you had a renewed sense of hope, gratitude, and love for coming back to the family that you thought you were about to lose.
Yeah.
And so there was a physical aspect for you of, I'm feeling this pain and I don't like feeling the physical pain, so I'm letting it go, which brought you healing. And so he says it doesn't mean that you have to go and put yourself in sub-zero degrees to get this type of healing, but for you to get out of the environment where you're at, put your body through something that you're not used to. This can be a hike, this could be a swim, and see physical pain with the physical body and realizing that it's not something that you care to hold on to anymore, helps you to release that emotion that you may be aware of or that you may not be aware of. But if there's a feeling of loneliness,
Uh-oh. Oh, you froze. Oh, it's been doing that lately. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, it's here. There you are. There you are. Okay. Sorry about that.
There we
Can you
go. You're back.
hear me? Okay,
Okay.
good.
Yes.
Okay, so does it have to be nature? I
Or
mean,
was it just completely gone?
can you see me now?
Now I can, but it keeps going in and out. Eric, pull your energy back, please.
Ah, all right. So do you have to be in nature, like the beach, the mountains, the park, or is there any other place that maybe people
Eric,
are not? You still, I can see you.
you're gone. Okay,
Okay.
there you go. Now you're back. Okay, you weren't.
Okay.
Say that all over again.
Yeah. Does it have to be in nature, or can it be? I mean, just like a beach or a mountain or a park, or can you sit and reflect in other places if you don't have easy access to those kind of things? I think you should be away from your environment, like your bedroom and all
He
that, because
says,
maybe there are triggers there. So.
absolutely. And he says it doesn't have to be the mountains or any place far. He says this could be going to stay the night at a hotel or going to stay the night at a relative's home and being out of your environment that you're used to. But when you think about that, he says you are wanting to be alone. So make sure that you are having an area to where you're going to be able to be by yourself, be in your thoughts to cleanse the energy that you are no longer needing.
Okay, well, let me take that a step further. Now, is loneliness ever due to or exacerbated by like dirty energy, or even like negative attachments, like negative spirits?
He says, yes, mom. That's a whole other topic in itself. He says, because negative energy or negative spirits can impact your mood and can make you feel that you're lonely, can make you feel that you do not want anything to do with anybody around you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a different type of loneliness and something that's affecting the mood of the person. Um, you're not funny. He says that that's some real deep shit that you're dealing with when you're at that level. He says because in order to have something negative take over you, they need a lower vibration. And so that lower vibration is what they're feeding off of. He says, so if you want to really go back to it, there was something much deeper before that loneliness of the energy that's affecting you decided to take over.
Yeah, it could be that you had self-loathing, self self-loathing and loneliness that was a lower vibration to start with, and then this negative attachment makes it even worse for you. So, what can they do about that? Well, look, I've got it. I probably have already. By the time y'all see this, I already would have done our negative attachment video. So review that, but cleanse the energy in all your environments, including your car. Maybe crystals of some sort will help.
So when cleansing negative entities, depending on the type of entity it is, it's really all about cleansing your energy. Using Palo Santo or using sage, also using crystals. Black obsidian clears attachments that are attached to you. So holding it underneath your pillow, holding it on your person, that does it. Burning herbs, really any type of herbs that are for spiritual protection, like Palo, rosemary, sandalwood, those are all really good for clearing negative energy.
Oh, I
And
didn't
so
know that. Interesting.
it
So
is.
you can even wear obsidian,
Great.
bracelet, necklace. You can put it in your pocket, carry it around. Um, oh,
Now, when you use crystals, sometimes it may take a couple of days or a couple of hours before you notice your mood changing. So, be patient with the use of the crystals because it does take time to clear it from you. If you're looking for something quick, you may need a shaman to go to come in and do that cleansing for you. But it doesn't always have to be that quick fix that you need. You can always do it by yourself.
okay. And you have to, of course, clean your crystal because, I'll imagine with attachments, it probably gets
Put
really
into
crappy dirty. So put it in moonlight, sunlight, dirt, salt, I don't know, or just say the intent. You are now clean.
It is. Burying them also in the dirt cleanses your crystals very well.
Yes. Yeah. Because Mother Earth is a very good recycler of negative energy. See, I plugged you, Gaia. How about that? Now you owe me.
Got you back.
All right. So what else was it? Oh yeah. Yeah. Some people feel lonely even though they are surrounded by people in their lives, nice people in their lives, but they still get this feeling of, I don't know, loneliness.
Erik really resonates with that because that's something that he dealt with.
Exactly. Yeah.
He had such great support system around him.
Yeah.
Now, when you think about loneliness that comes in from mental illness, such as bipolar, because I tried many different types of things to help with my loneliness and nothing ever seemed to satisfy me. For me, what I found myself doing is buying new things and having to always have fulfillment, but getting bored with the shit very easily.
I wanted something to look forward to all the time.
Something new, something exciting. I was trying to fill that void. For me, he says, looking back at my shit, I realized that a lot was coming in from my previous lifetimes. And so he says there's loneliness that you carry from other lifetimes. You won't be able to pinpoint where it's coming from or why you feel the way it was. If I was able to detach from other lifetimes and Erik, which I obviously didn't know that I was still connected to so many other life forms that I was experiencing, I would have been in a much better place. He's explaining that although I didn't understand where that sadness was coming in from, I still knew that I was feeling sad and nothing would come over me to replace happiness with sadness.
What was, oh, go ahead.
He's sitting down, he's really thinking because he says, now I get the opportunity to go back and look at my life as Erik. He has his hand on his head and he's sitting back and contemplating all of the times that he felt so lonely, realizing that I had so much love and support, but not wanting that love and support from where I had it, wanting to be by myself, wanting to be alone. He says, I can tell you one thing, that if a person has support, but the person is not wanting that type of support, or that support is not fitting with the person, then they're not going to take it. They need to find a different avenue, a different support system. He stretched his avenues between doctors, therapists, family, and he could not find his balance. He says, for me, my balance was finally leaving. And that's not everybody's answer, but it could be past life.
Most people, it's not their answer, of course. Did you feel like you didn't deserve the love and support that was around you? Or was it something else?
Yeah. He says, not only did I feel like I didn't deserve it, I felt like I wasn't capable of having that amount of love, but I didn't know where it was coming from. So he says it was from within me. I was lonely with myself. Looking back at it, I wasn't lonely with my companion that was around me. I was lonely within myself. There was things that I did not like about myself. One thing I hated is that I couldn't be happy for a long period of time. And the fact that I tried looking for that happiness, that's what really held me down even more.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like that is so true. What is the main life of yours, future or past, that created this sensation of loneliness or lack of the ability to be your own best companion and to love yourself?
You're going to think this is really interesting, but he's showing me a butterfly, a monarch butterfly. And having to travel and get around mostly by himself is where that loneliness came in from. It was not a very long life. I would say a couple of weeks max, but that butterfly and searching, transitioning from caterpillar to butterfly to figuring out how to feed myself through flowers, figuring out where I was going and how I was getting there was always up in the air, followed me into Erik because I never knew where I was going or how I was going to get to where I wanted from A to B. I changed my mind very often, just like a butterfly changes their mind very often.
It's true. They flitter from pillar to post. But they eventually make it to Mexico or something. So
Very
did you
far.
make it to Mexico?
He says I did, and it was one hell of a challenge.
I bet. Any other life that, well, we'll go on. So do you think people who have that sense of loneliness, especially if there's really are surrounded by love and support, should undergo hypnotic regression and try to find if there's any bleed through from another life causing it?
Yes. He says not only that, but doing trauma releasing therapy, like EMDR, that will
Oh,
help
yeah.
people to resurface past memories from old lifetimes that they're trying to heal. Um,
Should they do the regression first so they can figure out what lifetime to think about when they're doing the EMDR?
EMDR, yes, and combining them together.
Ah, okay. The soul happy technique is kind of cool too. Get past
It's
life
very
regression
good.
and even between lives regression with Dr. Robert Schwartz. He's on my links list on the favorites tab of the blog. So you can figure out what your plan was. Your plan to experience loneliness, et cetera, et cetera. So that and hypnotic regression, which is included in with what Robert does, might really help. And then the soul happy technique, soulhappy.com, I think it is. It's so cool. And I need to do that again because of the trauma I recently had, because it will release so much trauma. So
And that's what Erik is saying is it's not only that you can go do it one time, an individual will benefit from doing it multiple times through different things that they experience
yeah,
in this life, and also trying to find out things in past lives that they're unaware of. And
yeah,
so this could be your form of your doctor. Going and receiving this type of healing will bring your physical body in this current life an immense amount of healing.
yeah, I agree. And the so happy that it's like $160, but you can use it forever and ever and ever and ever. It's so awesome and very impactful.
Right.
Okay. What about other reasons to be lonely? Like maybe people feel like they don't belong here on Earth because they're like mostly from another planet. Maybe they're a star seed from, I don't know, mostly used to living in Pleiades or
He
some other.
says this is a homesick type of lonely, where you feel
Oh,
as if you don't belong. You constantly look at your life as I have everything that I need, everything that I desire, but I'm lacking something. For those individuals, they're lacking their home where they come from because they haven't come in as a human incarnation very often, or they're either ready to be out of this incarnation because they've lived one too many of them. So
oh,
it's a lack of, I'm homesick, I need to be home. He says that there is a different type of loneliness. Um, Most of these individuals, as they get older, they realize that I'm homesick. And that's where that loneliness is coming from. For them to find happiness in their environment is going to be able to help them to be content while they're here on earth for this short period of time. Um, these individuals are really needing to find happiness with themselves, and that's purpose. That's part of the purpose of why they're incarnating as a human.
oh.
Humans,
So what can they do?
that's interesting. He says
They're-
humans
Oh, sorry.
humans have the most emotions, and there's other species, other races, other animals, but humans are by far the ones that are the most sensitive. Being a human, you can get a lot of lessons out of that because of the emotions that you feel, whether it's happiness, sadness, or loneliness. Now, what can these individuals do? Well, they can meditate, they can connect to home as they are here in their human body. Most people don't realize that you can connect to that home that you are missing just by simply going into that state of silence and focus.
Wow. And you can find out if you're a star seed. Well, you can ask a medium or Erik, whatever, but there are star seed quizzes online. Some of them are pretty good, right? I mean, they seem
They
like
are.
most of them are kind of the same, ask the same questions.
They do, and it's kind of like a questionnaire. That's funny. He says, if you think about the questionnaires where doctors do for depression or anxiety, it's the same type of questionnaire, but for starseed.
That's true.
There's even indigo types out there, and
Yeah.
Google or Pinterest will lead you to that questionnaire that you're looking for. Grounding is very important, is what Erik says, if you are feeling that homesick, meaning that you're not grounded to your current incarnation. So taking yourself out to natural waters, seas, lakes, taking yourself hiking, or taking a sea salt bath, Epsom salt, any form of salt and water is going to ground you. Being consistent with this, not doing it once a month and saying I'm grounded, it's not going to ground you. But maybe doing it once a week and being consistent with self-care, now that's going to ground you. That loneliness will dissipate as people that are dealing with this type of homesick sensation, they ground and they will be okay with where they're at.
Do you have to use like a special kind of salt, like Himalayan sea salt, or
No. Himalayan sea salt is really good. Epsom salt will also do the same thing. Table salt will also do the same thing.
Okay.
It's a matter of the salt that's doing the grounding and the cleansing.
That is cool. Wonder how it works.
He says it's the energy of the salt is what clears the negativity. The salt carries energy with itself.
Oh, okay. And you could probably carry like grounding crystals that ground, or like obsidian maybe, or black tourmaline.
Those are very grounding crystals.
Tiger's eye, or I don't know.
Those are very grounding. And so if you struggle with grounding, I would actually place the crystals underneath your pillow or underneath your mattresses. You can have 4 of the same type, put 1 under each corner. Tiger's eye is very grounding, black obsidian, tourmaline, any form of jasper. For people that are really sensitive to crystals and don't want to feel that harsh grounding very quickly, I would use jaspers, because jasper is very soft and it'll ground you with a nurturing level.
Awesome. How often do you have to clean them? Because you keep them there for 50 years, like.
About every 4 weeks. So you're going to pay attention to the moon cycle. Whenever you see a full moon, that could be your alarm clock. You just put them on a windowsill or outside directly. And that's kind of how you can remember to do the cleansing. Leave them out overnight and then place them back underneath the mattress. You can also use the sun if you're not, paying attention to the moon. Sunlight every 4 weeks will cleanse them and also recharge them.
Will it work even if it's cloudy during the full moon?
It will, but you want to leave them out there a little bit longer. If there's a cloud, you can see the full moon for at least 4 days. Although we only have 1 day of it actually being full, the energy is still out there about 2 days before and 2 days after.
Okay. All right. And then also they've got like these bracelets that are made of, Judy Maxwell gave me one. It's so awesome. I came home and opened my mail and there it was, lava beads. And you can actually put essential oils, maybe
essential oils
like lavender. What would be a good grounding one? And then when you just sniff it every once in a while, you look kind of weird, but
frankincense.
So
really any kind of smell is going to ground you back to the earth, but frankincense and sandalwood are the actual really grounding smells. Really easy. Household pepper. Almost everybody has pepper in their house. Wow. Opening the pepper and smelling it, you're going to sneeze, but let me tell you something, it'll ground you. If you can smell pepper once in the morning, every single day, you're going to find that you're not forgetful, you're not spacey, and you're really grounded.
Pepper, that is so cool. For some reason, I have always been, since I was a little girl, attracted to sandalwood and patchouli. What does that mean? Is it that those are...
You need to ground. Those are the oils that are saying, I need you and I want you. If you find people that are drawn to like wood smells, that was for me. I was really drawn to the smell of wood from a young age, and that was kind of like my smell of I need to be grounding. Now that I'm older, I've kind of put that together. So smells that you're drawn to are smells that are wanting you.
I love the smell of leather too. And there also are grounding sheets, that are sheets that you can have, and you can do this for your children if they like ADD at school or whatever. And they have like, just, you plug it into the grounding thing on your outlets, that one little hole that's under the 2 long thingies.
Yes.
And so is that good?
The mats, yes, they do work.
I'm too cheap to get them. Anyway.
They're
all right.
Interesting things that they come out with.
I know. So it seems like loneliness, it would help if you find some way to connect via altruism. Like Rudy and I are going to joined the Red Cross together to help repay the massive efforts that they, and we're also going to donate money, but so that's a good way to meet people too, but also feel good about yourself, right? And feel like, wow, I'm good company with myself because I'm cool, because I'm doing this and I'm helping other people. And also it helps solidify that sense that we are all one, right? And that we should live as, so, okay, but go ahead and expound on that, because
and
that's all I got.
Living as one and living together more as a community instead of individually, and learning to love everybody else for who they are. Their flaws may be your strength. Their strength may be your flaws. And so he says, learning to see other people's point of view. But first off, you start with being your own friend. You start with liking who you are. And that way other individuals will mirror that right back to you.
That's true. And it's actually quite easy to turn assholes into lambs, loving lambs. It's so amazing. You just look at them and give them a smile and how are you doing today? Or, if they're yelling at you because you had a little fender bender or whatever, you can always say, oh, I'm so sorry that, I know you didn't expect to have this happen. Is there, just really be kind to them and really make eye contact. Love. So send them, you just silently send them love too, right? That could change them, right? Like white light or.
Yeah, and just having that thought of, I'm sending you love, I'm sending you unconditional love, that is exactly what they're going to do. He's healing with love, Mom. Healing with love.
And that makes you feel better and kind. What kind of light do you send those kind of people? Is it white? Is it pink, green, like the heart chakra? Or
yeah, he says, Mom, white light and love. He says, it's all about your intention. If you're intending to send green light with love, that's exactly what they're going to get. But he says white light is unconditional love.
So somebody told me a long time ago, I think Jamie said that my aura is like an opalescent look, like white, greens, and pinks. Is that still true? It's probably black now, after what I've been through. Jesus.
Erik. He says, it's not black, Mom. You do not have a black aura. It is still the same color. You've got a little bit more added to it. That looks like purples that are coming in. Our aura does change from time to time, but not very often.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add before we close, my sweet Erik?
He says, go make friends with yourself.
Yeah.
Start talking to yourself. Start laughing at yourself. Start loving yourself.
You guys are worth it. You guys are perfect in every way. That sounds like Mary Poppins. I am perfect in every way. But remember that. Turn into Mary Poppins and know that you are perfect in every way.
You are. Yeah. Believe it.
Yeah, believe it, man. Send yourself the white light. Can you do that?
Yes.
Like get source.
That's the best type of healing.
Shower yourself from source.
And invite source to shower you, and that's exactly what you get.
That's right. All right, you guys get in touch with her because she's got a lot to offer, and I want you to talk about that at angelmedium7.com. I will put that right here, but take it away, Raylene. What you got beside your obviously awesome mediumship skills? You do teach spiritual arts, right?
I do teach people how to open up their abilities, and that's mostly what I'm doing right now. I've really cut back my channeling hours, so that way I'm teaching. I've got a lot of positive feedback on it, and I really enjoy it. I'm also traveling to different states and teaching people. So take a look at my website and go from there.
Where are you going next?
Indiana. I'm going next month.
Fun. All right, well, you got to come over here to my place one day and do an event.
August. I'm going to be in
another one.
August. Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right. I love you. I love you, Erik. I love you, Raylene. R.I.P. Send prayers and love to our dear Ringo who transitioned yesterday.
He made it safely, and he is healing.
Oh, yeah, Erik, are you playing with him?
He is, and he's really enjoying him being back with him.
Bluebell's there with him?
Yes, ma'am. That's who's helping him. He says that he loves everybody, and thank you all for watching. He says, smell you guys later.
Smell you guys later. Now, he'll probably give the smells later.
No, they're not pleasant.
Right. All right. See you
love you.
later, alligator. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.